Hi guys, welcome back to England Rugby Analyst. We've seen 2 games since I last saw you, England Fiji, England Argentina, plus a lot of other international action, so many talking points. We'll get straight on with it. First of all, with England, against Fiji we saw some really good attacking shape, I thought. They moved the ball very nicely off set play, scored some great tries. And in very much contrast to Argentina, where Elliot Daly absolutely screwed them from the off, but in some ways that was quite good. They got a chance to play 14 men against 15 for 75 minutes, backs against the wall, and Eddie Jones got to see them adapt and survive, and they did it. It was against a good opposition to do it, because Argentina are a good team, but they're not a great team. They're not as good as New Zealand or Australia, someone like that. So the perfect opportunity, and I would have been really happy, apart from, I think, the world's best player at the moment, Billy Vunipola, picks up a nasty knee injury, looks like cartilage damage at the moment, a few months at least. You never quite know how that's going to work out. So that's a big blow, and I was so disappointed when that happened for him and England, of course. But it throws up a question, doesn't it? Who is the number 8 replacement for Billy V now he's out? Well, it was Jack Clifford before he got injured a while ago. He's back in the frame, kind of. So you could go him, but that's a bit out of the blue. Plus, I think he's got a concussion problem. The obvious like for like is Nathan Hughes, but he's got no match experience. He's not proven himself. That's a bit of a risk, but could happen. Let's talk to Marner Harrison, who came on at 8 against Argentina. First up, I don't think he's ready at all. I really don't think he's ready, and I'll tell you why. It is not his attitude and his work ethic. He was everywhere. His tackles were pretty good, actually. He is in the right place to try and do the right things, but he just doesn't have the tools, if you like, to do that. Partially to do with him, but I also think the coaches have missed a trick here. They used Tamana Harrison in the way they'd used Billy Vunipola, and he's nowhere near the same sort of player. They used him in tight channels to carry big, and he's got smashed, to be honest. He's got absolutely smashed. Here's an example off a line-out. They peel Tamana Harrison off the line-out and set him up outside 9, and they drive with 7 players. Absolutely fine. You give yourself a forward runner straight away off the drive. And then they hit him up off 9 straight away, and he gets smashed. Luckily England have the penalty, but that's not the point. If they want to play Tamana Harrison, I think this just highlights that the coaches need to use him differently. You need to use him outside, 10, in the centres, as an extra back, if you like, running at other backs. And let's see what he can do there, because if you look at his clips on YouTube, he's made some amazing breaks, but not really in tight situations running against big guys. So if you're going to use him differently. I don't think they're going to use him because I don't think they're ready to use him differently. Anyway, you could go Josh Beaumont, could go Clifford, could go Hughes. I think they probably will go Hughes, but my call, actually, I would bring Ben Morgan straight back into 8. International experience, bit of a one-off. He'll be very motivated, very experienced, a bit like Tom Wood. I think he'll come in and do a great job. I don't think they will do that, but they could do that, and that's what I'd go for. The other talking point is who replaces Elliot Daly on the wing. Elliot Daly deserves to be left out for being so stupid, basically. That really was crazy of him. He must be feeling awful. You could bring Marlon Yard in, but I think you bring Rokondaguni straight back in for sure. Whilst we're talking about him, there was lots of chat. Basically, it's the media trying to make a story out of something. That's what annoys me about the mainstream media sometimes. Rokondaguni had a good game. He wasn't the best player on the pitch, even though he got man of the match, which means nothing. He attacked fantastically, but the coaches know that. I've said this before. They know he can attack fantastic. They want to see other stuff. And when he made that break, and didn't give the 2-on-1. The first thing I said to Alex when I came in the morning was, I think he screwed himself there. I don't think he's going to play because of that, and I was right. But he's there or thereabouts. He's got a few things to work on, so bring him straight back in. I really don't think there is an issue there, even though the media says there's an issue. And then we have Australia next week. And that's England's first big game, actually. I think they've actually had a relatively easy-ish autumn series. They've done well to win them, but Australia is the big test. Australia will be wanting revenge, but it's the end of the season. Australia are tired. They talk about the North having a really good, the Northern Hemisphere having a really good set of autumn internationals here. But also remember these Southern Hemisphere sides are very tired. They're at the end of their season. Whilst I mentioned on the mainstream media annoying me a little bit, one thing that really did annoy me talking about Wales was watching Scrum 5. I'm not going to name the names of these internationals, but they come on the show and they're just not prepared to say really what they think. They hold back because they've got friends who are players, they've got friends who are coaches, they are connected with that circle, and if they criticise and say what's actually going on, I think they can have quite a tricky life. So that's why I really don't like that, and I respect players like Austin Healey, Stuart Barnes, etc., who say it how it is. I might not agree with them, but they have the bravery to just actually comment properly. So I just don't see the point of having ex-players coming on shows who aren't prepared to actually say what they think. But anyway, maybe I'm being harsh. Comment if you think I am, but that wound me up because the Wales situation, I think, is quite clear in a way. There's been some big coaching mistakes. I think that's fine to say. People, I won't criticise Rob Howley, he's a great guy. He is a great guy, but he's made a couple of howlers, and they're human, they're allowed to do that. Awful motivation in the first game for Wales, terrible attacking shape in the second game, and people say, oh, you should give him time, but if you're the new coach, and he is the new coach of Wales, you start with defence, you start with attitude, you start with tackling, and he didn't. He said, let's leave that and let's practice our new attacking shape. I think that was really obvious from the game. They've been told, practice this new attacking shape versus Japan. You know, above all else, let's just give it a go. And that's not how you attack international rugby, and they got really found out. So he dropped the ball there, definitely. Better this week. Wales were a lot more committed against South Africa, and they played better. Their attacking shape was a bit better, but I think he made a mistake there. You've got to start from the ground up if he wants this job as Wales coach. What I would say is, often it's not what you say, it's how you say it. And just listen to Rob Howley's interviews. To me, he gives the impression, you know, me as a fickle human, I'm not inspired by what he says. I'm not filled with confidence with the way he says it. He's a bit defeatist, head down, mumbling a bit. I think someone needs to say to him, look, you've got to act like a head coach if you want to be one. Because he's obviously got ability. Everyone says he has ability. So people are allowed to make mistakes. Coaches are allowed to make mistakes. But I think, you know, pundits should just say it as it is when that happens. Speaking of which, with South Africa, another awful performance. Coach here played all his youngsters, and surprise, surprise, they made loads of mistakes and lost. They started off with a lot more heart and passion, actually, which was good, but as soon as they got under the cosh, they had nothing to fall back on, experience or previous wins, and they just collapsed like a house of cards. And again, people say, oh, you can't blame Kurt Sear, he's a good coach, blah, blah, blah. And yeah, I see what they're saying. He's got an average set of players there. But again, what do you do with an average set of players? Look at what Conor O'Shea's done at Italy already. Start with defence, start with commitment, and work from there. And they don't have defensive shape and they don't have commitment. What does he expect to happen? And also I'd say that, yes, South Africa's got a lot of problems, but this coach accepted the head coach job, and he also accepted other stipulations, like you are going to have this guy on your coaching team. You think Eddie Jones, Joel Smith would say, you tell me who to have on my coaching team? Of course they wouldn't. So I think he does deserve criticism, and I don't think there's any way back. They need a fresh start and also sort out their house a bit as well. And lastly, let's just big up Ireland for another fantastic win, another fantastic display. It's just an example of an international coach getting the most out of their players. I think Ireland are playing almost as well as they can play. I think player for player, they need a few more star players as such to be as good as, say, that O'Driscoll team they had, but They are just maximising everything out of their players, getting great results. Anyway, I'll be back after Australia, hopefully with Alex as well. And this is a massive game. I don't care what everyone says, England should win, etc. You know, especially with the loss of Billy Vunipola. And it's a massive step up in quality. Australia prime for revenge. I think this is almost 50-50. If they win it, it's a massive, massive win for England. And until then, I will see you later and enjoy your rugby.